Hi Peter, thanks for joining us today to share your Irlen story. Now, you've had the Irlen Clinic here for how many years?
Well, it's February, and I started in February, so it's an easy thing to remember. It's now been 24 years since I started doing Irlen in southeast Queensland. Yes.
So 24 years of supporting students, children and adults with visual processing disorder. That's quite a noble length of time. So thank you very much. And as somebody who wears Irlen spectral filters, I'm most grateful. Now, Peter, you've also been high up in the education system, and you've got a huge array of experience. Can you share what you believe some of the challenges are with our current education system, and how acknowledgement of Irlen Syndrome and what Irlen spectral filters can do to could help the education environment?
Yes, well, I spent 25 years as a school principal, and then a little longer again in the education system at a more senior level. But in those days, things were a bit simpler.
Yes.
And it seemed to be, easier for teachers to keep on top of things. And society's changing, there's no doubt about that. People are having more freedom, and that's freedom to do things that probably aren't so good as well as very good things. So those things contribute. But basically, if a person is having a lot of difficulties with their learning, then several things happen normally. One is that they start having feelings of low self-esteem. They start feeling dumb and stupid, and with that comes other things like attack of anxiety. Some little kids that I see, mum says they don't want to go to school, they cry, they're anxious as anything, and of course anxiety is a precursor to depression, and then after depression there are other mental problems, I guess you'd say. So those things certainly contribute, and in the wider picture, as far as these young students are concerned, school is their representation of society. So for them, society is school because that's where they are most of the time. They're not home, and of course, when they leave school feeling failure, they have a resentment against society, and so the wider society then cops it in many instances with people who offend, in a criminal way.
Okay, so, and I noticed there's been a new report that's come out recently.
Yes,
yeah.
I get all sorts of interesting things. This particular report I received as an email yesterday, and it's from the Grattan Institute, and it talks about disengaged students. And this particular report says that 40% of all our students in Australia are disengaged from school, and that's based on a study. Some people challenge that, but even if it's 30%, even if it's 20%, it's a huge number of students in our Australian society that are disengaged, and of course it's these disengaged people then who have resentment and join groups of like-minded people, and that's where we have some difficulties in our wider society.
Wow. So how can Irlen spectral filters help students that may be suffering with visual processing disorder or are challenged with reading or literacy?
Well, everybody, or many teachers anyway, know about what we call auditory processing difficulties, which simply means that a young person normally has good hearing, but the message doesn't seem to get through to the brain properly. So you give them a set of instructions and they might be able to do one, and that's about it. Now, our vision system actually lets 70% of all the information that gets into our brain come through our vision system, and there is a parallel form which is called visual processing difficulties, and that means that the eyesight's fine, but the message doesn't seem to be getting through to the brain. Now, recent research has told us that it's the light that causes the problem, and some people are just very sensitive to light. And so, but it's not all light, it's parts of the light. And so in our light spectrum, we've got different wavelengths, which we see as colours. And for some people, some of those colours or wavelengths interfere with the nervous system. And so the Irlen spectral filters, through a very rigorous process, works out which of those colours or wavelengths are offensive, and then we filter them out with Irlen lenses. It makes a huge difference to the way the brain operates, and therefore all of a sudden things that were very difficult for them, like reading, anything that they're looking at, for example, like reading, then that becomes much easier, and therefore self-esteem improves, confidence improves, the whole behaviour attitude improves.
That's wonderful, Peter. Thank you so much for your contribution to the world with your noble career, and I hope you'll catch me again sometime to share some of your wisdom.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Makusla.